Yes guys, welcome back to SSJ Fishing. Today we're going to be going through different things such as bait, tactics, lakes, and hopefully you're going to learn something. Let's get straight into it.
How long have you been fishing?
I'd say we've been fishing about 10 months now. It all started back in August last year when we pretty much bullied Baker into going down Southampton Common. He really didn't want to go, and because we're nice friends we forced him into it and a passion started.
What's the biggest fish you've caught?
This one feels like a bit of a scab because the scales weren't zeroed, but I'm going to claim it. It was a 17-pound grass carp caught at Broadlands last month.
What weather have you caught the most in?
I'd say overcast, sort of between 5 and 10 degrees.
What time of year have you been the most successful?
I'd say probably the back end of autumn coming into winter. Around that time I was the only one catching. Yes, they were bream, but they all count. I don't care what anyone tells you, going forward, bream are just as important as the carp. Don't let anyone convince you otherwise.
By the end of the day, it's just nice to get out on the bank, and even if you blank or do catch bream.
That's it. You know, whether it's really hot and whether it's really cold, it doesn't matter. As soon as you can find your zone and you can relax, you're going to enjoy it regardless.
What lakes have you visited?
So including Southampton Common, 4, we did that one, Headlands Farm Fishery, Flea or FLE, I don't know if I'm saying that right, and Broadlands.
What's been your favourite lake?
This one's a bit difficult because I've caught most of my fish at Headlands, so part of me wants to say that, but the other part of me thinks we've recently started going down Broadlands and they have some absolute monsters in there. If I can pull one of them out, I will say Broadlands hands down, but for now I'm going to say Headlands. What's
been your most successful bait?
Corn. You can never go wrong on corn. I've caught probably 90% of my fish on it. A lot of people will sit there and tell you that corn's only going to attract bream. That's false. Fish will go for anything. If you're new to this, I cannot recommend corn any higher than that.
Are there any lakes you want to go to in the future?
All of them. Every lake in the world. As soon as I can drive, we can get a van, we'll go everywhere. Predominantly I'd say France or Belgium or Gigantica if we can go on the waiting list.
What's your preferred bait to use?
I'd say at the moment Manila. I'm trying to move into that one a little bit more purely because Baker and James keep catching on it. But before that, I'd say, as I said before, it would have to have been corn.
It's a nice cheap alternative, isn't it? You can just grab anywhere.
You can get corn for 30, 40p, and I said, look, fish will go for anything. And if you're new to this, don't go out and spend hundreds of pounds on different baits. You're not going to know how to use it. You cannot go wrong just throwing a bit of corn in the lake.
What bait would you recommend for smaller lakes?
I think it really depends. You need to do your research going into this. If they're sponsored by CC Moore or Sticky Baits or Mainline, you need to see what's being thrown in there when there's no anglers. If they're throwing in stuff like Pacific Tuna or something that stinks of fish, that's the bait to go towards. But don't go any higher than 15mm boilies.
I'd also say check to see what the lake is actually putting in themselves if they're not sponsored. A lot of them they call it house pellet or house boilies, just the main thing that they use as well because they're used to feeding on that.
Yeah, you don't want to go into a place where there's experienced anglers pulling carp out every 10 minutes, throwing in bait that you've done no research into, because realistically you're going to get nothing on that.
What bait would you recommend for big lakes?
I'd say the answer's pretty much the same, although no matter what you're using, you need to up the size to like 20+mil boilies. It really depends what you're going for. If you're going for carp or catfish, or pike, it doesn't matter what you're going for. Do your research and just move into those areas.
How do you target specific fish, size or species?
When you get to the lake, check for bubbles. Some lakes obviously you have to book a specific swim, but if you can go anywhere on the lake, check for bubbles, movement in the reeds, set up camp there. And then once you've got a fish in mind, if you're going for catfish, you're not going to go wrong on spam. If you're going for bream or smaller carp, you're going to go for sweet corn, tight lines when it comes to stuff like that. But, research everything.
Out of the three of us, what are you best at?
Everything. Everything in terms of fishing. I'm probably the most handsome, I'm the most in shape. No, I'm not really qualified to answer this because everything I'm good at has nothing to do with fishing. I'd say besides, hunting bream, I'm the best in the world at getting bream. So
or eating,
judging by the size of me, you can tell I'm a well-stocked chap in the food department. But in terms of our social pages, I try and promote every day. So I'd say that's what I bring to the table.
Are you the best angler out of the three of us?
Yes, 100%, no question asked. That's a complete lie. No, I'm not. James is probably the best in terms of experience when it comes to sorting the tackle out. I'd say Baker, and you know, I bring joy to the lake. That's my goal.
There was also a bit of annoyance in there as well, because you get asked to do everything.
I pester people into doing my setup because I can't be bothered and I'm lazy, and I know I'm going to get frustrated with it. Don't be like me. Nobody likes an angler like me.
Correct.
Very correct.
Why don't you tell them about the time you paid James to barrow
the old barrow story. So last time we went to Broadlands a month ago, I couldn't be bothered to take my barrow back after a 60-hour session. I'm making that sound worse than it is, but you know. So I paid James £45 to wheel my barrow back to the car.
Greatest £45 I've ever made.
It was money well spent. If you've got the money to do it, pay your friends, your life will be so much easier.
Do you have any advice for new anglers?
Set up social pages, whether it's YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all of them. Post as much as you can on there. Promote your brand. Whether you want to be a channel or not, you're going to get positive feedback from experienced anglers, and you're going to get really, really good advice. You know, 9.5 out of 10 people just want to see what you've caught. They're not in it to try and put you down. And I'd say patience. That's really rich coming from me, I know, but the first 4 or 5 times I went fishing when we were staying overnight, I didn't even get a line knock. I tried all sorts of different bait. I was getting quite frustrated with it. But when the first fish came, it was a beautiful mirror carp, and I've never looked back. I was so excited by it, and since then, you want more and more.
I feel like there's quite a lot of adrenaline in your first fish as well. Like,
I'll tell you what, if you've never fished before, and your bite alarm or your reel screens off, it is both the most exciting and the most terrifying thing in the world. Like, I still get a little bit nervous now with small fish, like the buzz of it, and if you lose a fish, it's awful. There's no feeling like it, but you just got to persevere and just go on and on and on, and eventually you'll get there. Thank you so much for taking the time to stop by. We really hope you've learned something. You probably wouldn't have learned too much from me, but if you've liked this video, don't forget to share, subscribe, like the video. It really helps us grow. We're going to be trying to post different things on our channel through fishing tutorials and most importantly our lake videos, so you don't want to miss it. Follow our social page as well. The links will be in the description. Peace.